Welcome back, everybody. The other day I posted a quick picture of putting NACA ducts in the right side quarter window on the Supra. I got a lot of questions from people. Where do you get them? What size are they? Where do they come from? How do you make a pattern? Do you just trace them out? How does that work? So we're going to jump into that real quick. This can be a real quick video. It's going to be down and dirty. I put right side window ducts in. As you can see, NACA ducts come in a wide range of sizes. For the NASCAR Xfinity Series cars, it's a common window that goes in the car left and right. There is a left and a right, and they're beveled. A lot of the teams, including 5-star, sell this pre-cut, water jetted out. So all you have to do is lay the new style duct on the back of it, drill holes, and rivet it. We're not using that style. Those are the spec ducts, and this is a spec window. We're going to set this to the side right here. Many people ask, what is a NACA duct and where does it come from? It's pretty simple, and you can find a lot of information about this on the internet. It's from the National Advisory Committee for Aeronautics. It was founded in 1915, ran to 1958. They were primarily designed for the North American YF-93. It's a older aircraft, and it was a way to get air fed into the engine and out of the cowling efficiently. That's how long these things have been around. They've gone through multitudes of sizes and shapes. Most of what you see in a NASCAR stock car will either be a single or a double. A lot of these doubles, they come in a big square flange. Teams trim them down and use them as they need them. Some of them water jet pieces out and use it for a right side window. Some circumvent the rules and they just rivet it to a solid piece of Lexan and stick it in the right side when they're allowed to have them to kind of block off all the airflow, kind of like the Joey Logano glove thing, so you can see in the window. The NACA ducts we're putting in the window of our Supra come from a Toyota team. I got them from them directly. They're what's called a low impedance NACA duct. If you look at the side view of this duct compared to a standard one, you can see how much lower it is and how this one has more of a shallow inlet, and this one deeply scoops right into the NACA duct. I'll grab the camera and we'll do some more close-up on it. These are fine. These are what I'm using for the brakes in the rear window of this car. Now for the rear gear cooler, which is going to have a fan on it, and the helmet blower, which is going to have a fan on it, I'm going to use these. These are less conducive to trapping debris in any of them. These, if you've seen them in the side windows of cars, I'm sure you've seen them a million times with screens in them. So we're going to grab the camera, walk around. I'm going to show you each and every one of these real quick. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to install our NACA ducts in the driver's side quarter window of our Supra. So these are a wide array of single inlet ductwork right here. On my very right, you'll see we have the scalloped single 3-inch. And all of these I'm showing you are a single 3-inch inlet. You can slip a 3-inch hose over it. Back in the day, teams would hose clamp it on there. Nowadays, you'll see like this shallow entry duct that I have for the car. There's a piece of Kevlar here, and what we'll do is we'll drill a small 3/16 hole here and here, and we'll run a cable tie through it on both sides to hold the ductwork in. It's much lighter, and it works a lot better and doesn't want to slip off. But you can get these with wire in them, and I say this one's scalloped. This is a new old stock piece. As you can see, the outside edges where these are trimmed when they are routed. And these are vacuum molded. They take a clear piece of Lexan, put it over a mold, drop it down, and they vacuum it over a mold this shape, and they pop the sheet loose. You can get them with wire in them. You can get them without wire in them. This one here is a single 3-inch, and behind it, this is 1 1/4 inches. If you look at this little thing, you put a single hose on it, and what teams would do is they would picture this as your right window track. They would mount it in the right window, blow air in the car. They would hook a small hose here on the back of this piece of duct, run it up to the dash. They would mount this in front of their ignition box with a piece of hose between the two and blow cold air on the MSD box. They also come 3-inch NACA ducts with screen with that hose molded on the back of it. Now another thing to throw at you, the Hendrick Motorsports, with the onset of the COT, actually I think just a little bit prior, Hendrick came up with their own shallow entry NACA duct like this, molded their name in it, and it's actually on the front of it here. This has a very nice contoured lip on it. It's been beveled, shaped. They did a lot of wind tunnel testing and they made this one. And you literally cut this thing out in your window. You can make a cardboard pattern of it, cut it out in your window, and it recesses. So when you put it in, the outside of your car is here, and this lip here sits inside the window, and the entire duct is flush mount, rather than these being inset in the window like what you see in the Supra. Hendrick Motorsports makes these. So if you got a Hendrick car from 2000, I'd say 5 and newer, that doesn't have these in it, then you're not putting the right window duct in it if you're restoring it. They also come with a multitude of different water jet aluminum bezels for these things. You can put them in a right side window. I've seen them mounted vertically in a window. I've seen them mounted on the driver's side as well, flipped around this way on the driver's side to pull cold air in, blow it directly at the driver. I've also seen these with a small duct on them pointing at the driver, and this hose from the back of it, the small 1 1/4 inch hose, plumbed down into the dash. Now I've also seen this hose blown into coolers. There are different bells to adapt them. This will adapt it to a helmet. This will adapt to a 3-inch hose. This is 3D printed. This will also go to a small blower, a small little square fan, 12 volt like what you see in a computer. And then it'll have another duct on the other side and blow them out. LRD, they make a 3D printed version of this for a helmet blower as well. But like I said, these are just some of the singles, and that's what's actually in the Supra right now is a single. But I've got triples in the other side. So let's move down a little bit. Now there's a host of different doubles that are out there. This is a double with a water jet flange in it to go in the right side window. A lot of the doubles come like this, where it is quite literally like a 12 by 12 square with the duct in it, and you can trim it to make it any shape you want. This one is scalloped, and this is kind of like the Joey Logano effect. When they said, oh, you can put right side NACA ducts in the window on some of these tracks, well, they put the biggest piece of Lexan they could in there to block off air, and they stuck a NACA duct in it. Going down the track, it looks like that, and it gets through tech like that, because you're allowed to mount it in the right side window any way you want. It doesn't say it has to actually suck air. This one actually fits in our Supra, fits in the right side window track down here. That little bolt hole right there bolts it to the B-post bar, and this will get held in on the right side. I'll show you how this fits. And once again, like I said, you can buy these directly. They sell these in a single, 2-hole, and a 3-hole version at 5-star. These are already pre-cut. They're beveled on the edge, so you have a left side window and a right side window. Comes directly from 5-star. 3 holes already water jetted in it for the NACA duct. And if you look right here on all of them, you'll see a 5-star logo right there. And the windows in the Xfinity composite body car, they're all spec windows. You can see the 5-star logo right there as well. Kind of a bit hard to see, but they all have it. Something else that's pretty cool is that I've also got a new rear window for the Supra. So this is a NASCAR Xfinity Series composite body window. This is a new one, came from a Toyota team. It's got the slits in the rear window. That relieves air pressure and helps keep the car cool. These windows come directly from 5-star with that groove already in it. And if you look at our Supra, we have the original version of that window in the car that has no slits in the back of it. So we're gonna swap that window out as well. But first, we're gonna put NACA ducts in our left side window, and I'm gonna show you how to mark those, cut them out, and get it installed. Now the Supra is my personal track day car. I want things to be symmetrical. I want it to look good. This isn't some parade lap turd where shit's just placed all over the car with mismatched cable ties and hose clamps and all that BS. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this window to make them symmetrical. I already know that my brake duct is already in the same spot on both windows. I've already checked that. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a Sharpie. I'm gonna hold this up to this window, line up all of my Zeus fasteners, line up my rear ductwork, get it exactly where I want it, right there, and then I'm gonna put a dot right where the 4 corners of each NACA duct are. And then I'm gonna lay that duct on here, and I'm gonna pilot drill those holes first. I'll show you how I'm gonna do that. Now what I have done is I've drilled those black marks where I marked out my NACA duct on the right side. What I've done is I've come back, I've taken those pilot holes, traced it out, and drew 4 holes in the corners of where my NACA duct would be. We're gonna go outside, we're gonna trim this with a jigsaw. There are special blades made for jigsaws that cut plastic, wood, and metal. And when this is done, that's going to be the perfect opening for our NACA duct right there. So let's go outside, we'll cut this out with a jigsaw, and when I come back in, I'll show you how to countersink it and put it all together. There's the first one. Now I'll flip it over to this way and I'll cut the other one. And like I said, the tape helps prevent the skid from the jigsaw tearing up your glass. Now we can pull the tape off and check our fitment. We'll go ahead and pull all of this off. I can see there are a few spots that are going to need to be cleaned up with a file. So I like to use a triangle file and a flat file. So there's a few spots that I want to clean up real quick. So I'll come in here and I'll clean them up with a file. When I get a lot of that to where I want it to be, I'll come back with a deburring tool. If you're building a race car, you need to have a deburring tool. You can find these just about anywhere. This one came from Travers Tool here in Spartanburg, actually down near Duncan, right off Interstate 85. And they work exceptionally well with aluminum and plastic when it comes to deburring and getting all this fuzz off here. Sometimes when you're cutting plastic, a lot of it likes to gall and melt before it likes to come off. And these things work perfect for cleaning all of that off of there. Like I said, I'm all about the details. If you follow me on Facebook or you follow any of these videos, you will definitely see that. Clean up some of these burrs. Now, I'm going to test fit the NACA duct on top here first. I'm not going to rivet it in because I want to see what the fit is like. And if I have to go back and trim the other one, I don't want this one to be mounted already and get in the way. Don't worry about the Sharpie marks. They come off with SD20. That's not a big deal. It's not going to ruin your window. So what we'll do now is we'll take this one, we'll pop it back into place and see what it looks like. Now, that fits perfectly. Fits the entire contour of my NACA duct. The entire thing fits perfect. So we're going to go ahead and trim the other one. Then we'll countersink our outside holes. We will center drill, Danny Talks Take Two. We'll center drill the duct here for another rivet, and we'll be ready to put this in the car. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to set this aside because I know that's going to be my top duct. I'll set it over there. This is going to be my bottom. What I'm going to do first is clean up the hole. I don't like the way it looks right there, so I'm going to shave that a little bit with a file. That's a little ugly. Now, I've seen a million videos where people say you're not using the file right. You're only supposed to push it or you're only supposed to pull it. I've been using this specific file on windows for years, and the way I clean it out is with a wire brush, and it works the way I use it, so I'm happy with it. If you use it another way, I'm happy for you, but this is the way I use my file on a window, and it works perfect. Square off my edges right there. A bit right here. I don't like that spot in the corner. It's kind of ugly. So we will clean that out. Shave it down with my deburr tool. And we'll come along and deburr everything. And this is going to be our bottom NACA duct, so we're going to grab a couple Clecos and we'll test fit it. And that one came out perfect as well. I'm super happy with the way that one fit. Nice and flush. All the sides fit very well, nice and squared off. Deburred on the edges. So what I'm gonna do now is take some SD20, clean the black off of here from the Sharpie, and counterbore all of my holes. This is just a simple countersink bit on a cordless drill. We'll go in and countersink these. Now, I like to do all of this before it's riveted together for a couple of reasons. If you're not careful and you start riveting this together and then you go back and drill a hole or you countersink a hole, you can catch plastic between your outside window and the inside of the duct, and it's going to leave a white burr in there and it looks like shit. I don't like that myself. I don't do that. So what we're going to do now is we're going to lock this piece of ductwork in place with some Clecos. And then we're going to come back and we're going to center drill a support for our duct itself. Now, I personally don't like that there's no support here right in the middle. So what I do is I drill this right in the middle. I grab my ruler. This is going to be right at 3 inches. So we'll go 1.5 inches right there. And then we'll throw a NACA duct, we'll throw a rivet in it right here. Now here's our finished product. Here's our window. Everything's been cut, trimmed, cleaned up with a deburr tool. Up next, we're gonna install our NACA ducts. Like I said, you don't wanna install these and then keep drilling on them, because what'll happen is between the duct and the window, you'll get plastic caught in there and it makes an ugly, unsightly mess. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna rivet these in. I've countersunk these. We're gonna use 1/8 inch countersink rivets. We're gonna back it up with aluminum backup washers. And then we're gonna get this thing stuck in the car. So let's drop a bunch of these out here and we will make this happen. Pretty simple. If you ever used a rivet gun on a race car, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So what I like to do on these to get them started, I will stick them in. One pull to tighten it up, get everything lined up where I want it to be, then start adding more and pulling them down, and then I'll go around and pop them all out. One other thing, when you are riveting a window and you're squeezing that last pull of the rivet, it's always a good idea when you are squeezing it to pull away from the window. What can happen is if you see that shard sticking out of the rivet gun that comes from the end, if you're pushing on it, a lot of times you can slip with that and scratch the window. That's pretty fucking unsightly as well. So like I said, when I squeeze them, I squeeze it and I pull away at the same time. That keeps me from marring the window, tearing anything up, putting plastic on it. You know, just a big gouge in the plastic, that just looks ugly. So like I said, it's just something that I like to do. Pull away as you're clicking it, that last final pull. Just like that, and you won't scratch your window. Another thing, this is something that I've seen a million people talk about, a right and a wrong way to install a washer. Now, typically when you see, especially an aluminum backup washer, you'll find a rounded edge. Doesn't matter if it's a 1/4 inch washer, 1/2 inch washer, 5/16. Personal preference is what it is. I always put the squared edge against the material and the rounded edge out. Is it right or wrong? I don't know, but I've seen that as a debate lately on the internet and some people talking about it that I know. Personal opinion, personal preference, be what it is. I like the round side out and the actual squared side against your material. One more to go. We'll stick this in the car and we'll be done with this video. And that is it for our NACA duct install. Nice, clean, everything's flush fit. Fits exactly to the shape and contour of the ductwork, and this is ready to go in the car. Here's our completed window. Dual NACA ducts. This window is an exact copy of the window on the right side. This is going to be for my rear brake cooling. It's a larger, straight, unobstructed ductwork that goes right into the rear brakes and the package tray and down to the caliper. One of these is going to be for my helmet blower, and the other one is going to be for the gear cooler. One's going to run along the back of the actual package tray down on the bottom to the gear cooler. On the other side, we've got one for the brake duct, one for the gear cooler, and then one is going to go inside somewhere else, and I'll show you that when we get to it. But now we're going to install this window. The actual placement of the cam locks on this window are dictated by NASCAR and 5-star. The windows, if you look at them, let me grab this pre-cut one that already came from 5-star. As you can see in this window, there are already holes in the window all the way around. These are the pilot holes that automatically line up to where your cam locks are allowed to go. NASCAR's mandated this a lot on the ARCA composite body cars, the NASCAR Xfinity Series car, and the next gen Gen 7 car. The windows come pre-marked where you can put a cam lock fastener. You can order the windows pre-cut, already water jetted to get your brake ducts where you want. And that is what NASCAR has mandated, not only placement, but how many can be there. If you log onto the portal and look at the NASCAR rulebook, these come in one, they come with nothing on them. They come with 1, 2, 3, and then they come with 4 altogether. But for our application, this being a track day car that I'm building for myself, this is the placement that I went with. The reason I went with it spread this way some is I'm trying to get as much air in each one that's unobstructed. These are spread out, so any air moving across here heads towards the brake, and these are fed individually as well. So let's install this. And this is being installed with Skybolt fasteners. I'll talk about fasteners real quick before we go, but we're gonna stick this in the car now. Awesome. So that's a wrap on this video. I'm going to open up this case before me, and you can take a look and see. There are a multitude of fasteners that hold windows and panels and dash panels and battery covers and battery box trays and stuff in these cars. Everything from the Skybolt fastener, which is a billet aluminum piece and a billet cup, to the cam lock style. They come in Phillip and standard. The winged fastener. These are used a lot of time on the dashboard, so you can take the dash cover off. Skybolt also makes those in aluminum. They have a little ring that holds them on the back, keeps them held in place, and they come in a multitude of lengths, number 6, 7, 8s, 9s, 12s, 14s. It all depends on how thick the window you're using is or how thick the panel is. On our dash, we're going to use some of the aluminum wing nut style to hold a carbon panel over the top of our gauge panel and where that wiring is at. I'll show you a quick picture of these real quick. Like I said, this is what they look like. These are Skybolt buckets on the top. There's also a bucket, I think I have them in the other building, for the actual cam lock style, and it is like a precast bucket that's machined. You can also see how long this one is compared to the Skybolt. If you look at them, like I said, they come in a lot of different lengths and sizes depending on how thick the panel is. These are the retainer clips that go on the back of them and hold them onto the panel. Drill tool. This drill tool, I've got a couple of these. You can use these to actually drill out the spacing for your connector. You look at it like this. That is the exact spacing of your connector. It lets you figure out what your drill points are so everything lines up and comes out correctly. That's just some of the stuff that's out there, guys. There are also some, I hate to throw a wrench in it, but let's, if I can dig it out. I got one laying down there. This is a 1/4 They use these on the next gen cars. These are all epoxied in place. These are what holds the body together on a next gen car. But those are the fasteners. Well, that's it for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. I tried to condense it and shorten this one up. I don't know if you guys like the longer form or the shorter form of the videos. Comment below and let me know. I'd appreciate it. Like, subscribe, comment, and I will see you again very shortly. Thanks, guys.